Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make a Deco mesh wreath with Deco mesh from the Dollar Tree. I'm just showing you right now all of the items that you will need. I did purchase all but the pipe cleaners at the Dollar Tree. I got the pipe cleaners at the Target dollar spot. They were also $1. But the Dollar Tree carries those as well, and it doesn't really matter what color you use because you won't really see them. Now right here I am just taking my Deco mesh. I have unrolled it, or I'm unrolling it and cutting it into about 8-inch pieces. And I'm going to continue to do that until I get through the whole entire roll. And I will do that for each color that I have. And the colors that I chose was the red, the white, and the pink. And you can certainly do whatever colors you want to. The Deco mesh that was in the Valentine section at the Dollar Tree, I did not like the white because it was laced with red, so I actually purchased the white from the Easter section. But like I said, you could do pink and red, pink and white, red and white, all red, however you want to do it. And after I get those pieces cut up, I'm just showing you how I roll each one. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just roll it. I try and roll it as tight as I can because once you start putting them together, they'll loosen up a little bit. But I'm going to roll each individual piece of Deco mesh, and then I'm going to put them together. And you can put them together in any pattern that you want to. You can do the same pattern for every one of them. You can alternate them different ways. And but once you get them together, you just take them and then you tie them together with a pipe cleaner. And I just usually do a couple of twists on that. And then once you get the pipe cleaner, or them together on the pipe cleaner, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to take the frame, and I'm going to put these on the outer rim of the frame just because it will make your wreath a little bit more bigger and it'll give you more space in the middle. Now if you want your space in the middle to be completely closed in, you would want to tie those on the inner frame. You don't really have to worry about doing too much adjustment right now. The main goal is just to get them all tied on there, and then you can fluff them up as you go. And what have decided to do is it's easier for me if I go ahead and make all of my bundles ahead of time. So I go ahead and make all of my bundles, and I did do 3 patterns. I did pink, white, and red. I did another bundle of the white, red, and pink. The last bundle that I did was the red, pink, white, and red. And like I said, you could do any pattern you want to. I just like to mix mine up a little bit. And I didn't do bundles to cover the whole entire wreath at one time, although you could do that. I just did maybe, 5 to 10 a piece. And then once I got that done, I would put those onto the frame, and then I would start and do 5 to 10 more and then add. But whatever works for you is the best way to do it. And so here I'm just adding all of my my Deco mesh to the wreath, and you'll see that the pipe cleaners are not quite so long. I did cut those to try and conserve my pipe cleaners. I cut them in half, and it does work, but I am tying them to the 2 outer frames, and when you do that and you have the smaller pipe cleaners, it is a little bit tighter. But as you put those on, you just continue to push them together to make room as you go around your wreath. Okay, now that I've got the Deco mesh added to the wreath, I'm just going around and I'm just trimming off some little excess stray pieces that's come unraveled from the Deco mesh. And it will do that, but that's fine. It just adds to it. I just like to take the longer pieces off. And then now I'm just going to turn the wreath over, and I'm going to show you the number of bundles that I added to each one. On the very top peak, I think I had put in 4 there. It's like 2 and 2, and I tried to move one of them a little bit more to the center, but it's going to be so bunched up it's not really going to matter. And then on the outer part of the upper frame that's rounded, I did use 12 of those. And then on the bottom of the frame that's straight, I used 8. And then again at the bottom point, I used 4. And, you know, you might want to add more or less. It just depends on how full you want your wreath. I do like mine really full. And, you know, once you get all that put on, you could just fluff that. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to add the embellishments to my wreath. And I did decide that I wanted to use some ribbon. You can use different widths of ribbon, different patterns. These 3 I got at the Dollar Tree. I now wish I would have gotten me another ribbon that was a little bit wider. They didn't sell those at the Dollar Tree, but I could have picked that up at Walmart or somewhere else. So I'm just putting them together so that I can make sure they're all the same length. And you will want to make these a little bit long because it's going to be recessed down into your wreath, and you'll need to have some left that's going to be able to stick out of your wreath. So after I get all of the pieces cut, measured up and cut together, I'm going to cut the ends of my ribbon so that they are, I don't know the word for it, but you'll see. You just fold your ribbon in half, and then you just clip like a little V shape, and then it just gives your ribbon that extra little touch on the end. And I'm going to do that for each ribbon that I have. I wouldn't recommend putting them together and doing it because they could slide around and then your V will get messed up, and the more you cut off your ribbon, the shorter it's going to be. So anyway, it's just to show you what that looks like. And after I get all of those done, one of these tricks that I have learned with ribbon, and you have to be careful, but if you take your lighter and you just lightly wave over the ends, it will actually kind of like create a seal for that so that it will not unravel. Like I said, you have to be careful when you do it. You don't want to get your flame too close, and you don't want to hold it too long, because if you do, it will turn black and it could also catch on fire. But you could certainly leave it that way, and that's fine too. But I do like to seal my ribbon. Now I'm just putting my ribbon pieces together, and I'm going to tie them with a pipe cleaner, just like I did with the Deco mesh when I did the bundle rolls. And I'm cutting that in half just to conserve a little bit on that. And I'm just going to tie that around. It doesn't matter if they're in any kind of shape, because once you put it on your wreath, you're going to fluff it out anyway. So I'm just going to find an area or a space in my wreath that I want it to go, and I'm going to pull the Deco mesh apart until I can reach down to the frame of the wreath. And I'm going to do just like I did with the Deco mesh, and I'm just going to tie the pipe cleaner to the ring on the back side. And it helps having a different color of pipe cleaner, because when you pull it through, you can easily see it. And so, and once I got that on, you'll see I'm just spreading it out so that it shows. Like I said, I wish I would have made my ribbon just a tad bit longer and had maybe some wider to make it show up a little bit better. You could put as many of these on as you want to, or as few. It's up to you, however you want to do it. Okay, now that I've got my ribbon put onto my wreath, I'm just turning that around so I can let you see what it looks like once it's all spread out. And I did add probably 3 or 4 more bundles of ribbon to my wreath, as you can see. That's what it looks like when it's completely done. Now, I did decide that I wanted to add a few more things to my wreath, and so I purchased some little heart picks from the Dollar Tree. And not sure how I was going to do that. I tried to look at some wreaths on Pinterest. This looks a lot easier than it is. Putting those wood picks down into that Deco mesh was kind of hard. But I did use the frame kind of like a guideline to be able to tuck some of the pick sticks down into it. But I just stuck the little red hearts in different places on my wreath. I tried to stick them to where they actually stood out or stood up, and the wreath, the hearts weren't turned a weird position. So I put them more around the outer rims of my wreath, and I did that for both sides, and I put a few in the bottom, but it really doesn't matter however you want to do it. You could go to any craft store, and I'm sure they've got all kinds of things that you can add to your wreath. But you'll see that I'm just pushing those down in there to see what it looks like. And you want them to be pretty sturdy, because if you don't get them in there pretty tight, then they will move around, and it won't look right. And here I'm just adding some to the other side. And I did buy some of the lighter pink hearts as well, because I did want to have it a little bit contrast. And the light pink hearts are actually a little bit bigger than the red ones. And if I didn't put those picks in at all, I still think the wreath would have been pretty, even as it was. My goal was to actually find a sign or the word love or Happy Valentine's Day or something like that and put in the center of my wreath. But after I got done, I just decided that I did not want to do that. I just felt like it was pretty like it was, and I had enough decorations that's got, writing and everything like that on it. So I chose not to do that. But you'll see I'm kind of struggling here with getting my little picks positioned in the back the way I want them. It did take me a while to do this. Hopefully if you do it, you'll have a lot better luck than I did with it. Now, I did decide that I wanted to add a ribbon on the bottom, or a bow, I'm sorry. And when I first made this ribbon, I didn't really like it too much, but then once I got it attached, I actually, it turned out pretty good. I decided to go with a solid red because I felt like that I already had a good mixture of color, and I didn't want to make it so busy that the bow would not stand out. And here I'm just showing you how I do my bows. I just fold them back and forth, and it works out really good if you not have to worry about a pattern on one side. The ribbon that I got, it doesn't, the same pattern or is solid on both sides, so it really doesn't matter, and I'm not having to twist the center. But I'm just doing however many loops. You just do however many loops you want. I did, I think, 4 on each side. And once you get those loops together and how many you want, then I will go ahead and cut the tail of it off. I don't necessarily have to have the part that hangs down. If you want that, you can always add that to it later. But you keep your finger in the center, and then because this ribbon was so wide, I cut little slits in the side so that I could have a little bit more room to tie it, because if I tied it as wide as it was, it would have gathered the ribbon up too much in the center, and it could have affected the way that the actual loops was able to, how they were able to stay flat. So I just cut some little slits, not all the way through, just to make it a little bit more narrow. And I had a gold piece of thread that I had left over from my Christmas ornaments. And so I just tied that into a knot to hold the center together, and I pulled that pretty tight. And once I got my my center secured, then I just took the ribbon and I just held it in the center and just pulled the pieces around to the side and twisted them. And this is a wire ribbon, and that's what you would really want to work with, because when you use wire ribbon, you're able to form it in the way that you want it to. So it took me about 5 minutes, because you really have to play with these things. And after I got everything opened up, I just started pulling them around to the sides. I did the same amount on each side. Now you'll see that the piece that I had that was kind of like my beginning, I rolled it under to make the middle part of the bow. And you can secure that with a little dab of glue, or you can tie it with the leftover tie that you had. Because the ribbon was wire, I just curled mine under and it actually stayed. Okay, once you get your bow looking the way that you want it to, you just attach it to your wreath, and you do the same thing that you do with the other ribbons that you put on there. I did have like a little piece of the tail that I had clipped earlier, and so all I did was take that piece and push it through where I wanted it to go and just wrapped it around the back of it. And that was about all it took to secure that, and I was actually pretty happy with how it turned out. And so that's how I made my wreath, and I hope it was helpful to you. And if you are able to make any wreaths, please post them in the comments below. Thank you for watching.